Hello, welcome back to PlayStation Access. My name's Nathan. I'm here with Dave.
Hello.
And we have both played Dishonored, Death of the Outsider.
Yes.
Which is good news for me, Dave, because I hate the Outsider.
I know, you've never, to be fair to you, you've always said this from the start.
He's so smug.
I mean, I don't know if anyone likes the Outsider, but you really hate the Outsider.
Well, he's supposed to be like a trickster god figure, so I guess you're not supposed to like him.
No.
But all of that, I told you, Corvo, all of that, yeah, I know you did, and I might have done some mistakes, but, you know, and I did need your help.
Yeah.
I want his powers, but I don't want, you know...
Yeah, just for, like, with none of the cost. The cost being talking to him and interacting with him at all.
Exactly. He's such a know-it-all. Anyway, let's kill him. And it starts off, so this video is called Billie Lurk's New Powers Are Awesome, or Powers, because they might not be new. Billie Lurk is a character who popped up in Dishonored 2. It's the first time I really got to know who she was.
Yes.
She's the boat captain lady.
Yes, that's right.
And she was part of Dowd's crew, so she was part of the crew that at the very beginning of the first Dishonored, wearing a mask, helped to murder the Empress.
Yeah.
Kicked the whole thing off. I love Dishonored, and having played Dishonored 2, I went back and played Dishonored Remastered again, so I played that a second time, and then all the DLC, which Billie Lurk actually features in a bit more prominently.
Right, okay.
So that's why I was very excited about Death of the Outsider in general, because I think the last time they did DLC are very good, just brilliantly, and also this character's great. And you start off. First things first, first person Billie Lurk, her arm, which is missing, is now sort of held together by magic and machinery.
That's good.
That's not even
a power yet. That's just a cool thing.
It is a power, isn't it? Having an arm, power 1. But let's talk about them specifically. Displace.
Yeah.
Explain to me what Displace is.
So, first of all, I just think it's amazing that they continue to come up with new powers, and well, we'll get into how clever they are. But Displace is Billie's movement power, I guess.
Yes.
So
it's
think
the blink equivalent.
But it isn't just a movement power. Like on the face of it, you think, oh, this is just a slower blink that's maybe a bit rubbish.
I was stupid at it. It's much more tactical than you think.
Yeah.
And I guess the way it works is you hold L2.
Yeah.
And then you kind of send out like a marker, and you can see where it's going, and it's a bit maybe less distance than Dowd and Corvo's equivalents.
Maybe, or certainly to begin with, I imagine maybe that could be upgraded.
Yeah.
So and when you release L2, you leave like a marker, as you say, which is sort of like a silhouette almost of what Billie will look like when she gets there.
And what I did that was stupid was I was a bit frustrated, and I was like, she's just not as good as the other guys, because it's a bit slower, and it's not. And I was like, I just want my instant cool stealth traversal.
Yeah, and it's because when you start the game, you're thinking in those terms. You're thinking of past characters, and you're thinking of moving in a very just like, I want to go their way, and for doing that, it isn't that quick. No. But the power of it becomes really clear when you suddenly realise that you can get to your marker as long as you've got line of sight. So you don't have to be, a certain distance from your marker.
The very power is that it isn't instant, is what we're saying.
Exactly, yeah.
You pop the marker down, and as long as you can see it, you can move there at the touch of a button.
Exactly, and that means you can set it up for later.
Yeah.
That means that you can, plan ahead, use it to set all kinds of traps and nasty things like that.
Dishonored players should be going, ooh,
yeah,
I understand now. And when you see high-level Dishonored players and what they've done with the existing sets of powers and combinations, this is an immersive sim, and the whole point of Dishonored is, it's got an amazing story, an amazing world, but the high-level kind of players that you'll see on YouTube, they are mixing up the abilities, weapons, and environments to make incredible things happen. And like you said, it's amazing how I really like the Arcane who make Dishonored have got this firm understanding of what makes their powers, like it's both time and space, which sounds stupid, but it's true. It's like the tactical possibilities of moving in space, but then also like how you just time and space, Dave.
Obviously.
I'm turning into like one of those lunatic conspiracy theory guys. Just like things up on all the walls.
I just think it's smart that they've not just gone, we need a movement power. It will just be a bit different. It will like be red or something. They've gone like, no, it needs to have more implications for that, and it needs to mix with all the other powers as well, which it does. Exactly. And maybe we should come on to the next power.
This is kind of what I was getting onto. So Foresight is the power that this really combines with, and that is the kind of dark vision equivalent. which
Yeah.
you can see through walls and spot bone charms or runes.
Except,
well, it stops time. So, and there are other stopping time powers in the game. So this is, I mean, it kind of makes up almost for the fact that the non-instantaneousness of displacement. You stop time with Foresight, and you leave your body and you fly around. You can't pass through hard objects, but you can squeeze through rat tunnels and other small passageways. And you can leave markers for displacement while you're in Foresight.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can see how those two things suddenly you can stop time to do displacement.
Let me explain to you in a situation that I faced an example of how it actually works. So I came to a shop I needed to get into. It was locked, and I couldn't see any other obvious. Yes, no, the beauticians.
Okay.
And so I used Foresight, and I saw some rat tunnels because they were sort of high lit for me. Went inside the shop. Marked a bone charm, and then dropped a displacement marker through the glass window, so I could see it from the outside. Went back to my body and then displaced inside. So I completely circumvented the locked door and everything because I could see the marker that I dropped with Foresight and got inside.
And what I love is, so you need line of sight to go to your marker, but you can pass through windows, bars, or I think keyholes as well.
Right.
And I love that keyholes are like this basic stealth element of the game, and it's one of the first things I remember about Dishonored is like looking around, and like even now, years and years later, they've found a way to make keyholes like just to add another kind of interactive element to them. You know, something else that you're going to be using them for, even though they're like, you know, foundation stealth level of this game. So I like those a lot. Talking about rats, Dave, this is just a side one really, but rat whispers. Billy can understand rats.
Really?
Yeah, and they will just say, and you listen to them closely, and I think it's kind of like when you go around listening to NPCs, they just say stuff about the town, but the rats will just say what's going on with their day.
Okay.
Like, ooh, sausage. Like,
found a nice sausage.
A big sausage.
Oh, must pay that bill.
I think we've been in Germany for too long. And the other one, which is more powerful, Semblance.
Yes.
Which is horrible. It's sort of horrible.
It's sort of brilliant. It's basically a way of stealing someone's identity. It's non-lethal, although the animation for it is quite brutal. It's quite horrible. You literally sort of grab somebody and suck out their identity. They sort of turn grey and crispy.
And then you put it on your own face.
And so you have their identity, and it doesn't sort of burn through your void energy unless you're moving. So you can be stood still, just looking like this NPC.
I mean, I know I sound like a lunatic, but when I talk about kind of the strategic kind of possibilities of time and space, that is one of them. Like, you can stand for as long as you like, watching sentries being undetected. As soon as you move, it starts to take away your resource. So time and space become a factor. I mean, they are the factors of stuff.
Absolutely, and it's more than that. It's you know, for all intents and purposes, to everyone around, you've become that person, which means as a civilian you can get close to guards, and they might be a bit like weirded out at first. They're not going to let you through guard posts and things, but exactly, it's like, that's a bit strange. But then you can murder them. You're still Billy, just with someone else's appearance, so you can get close to them, knock them out, carry them, loot them, all that stuff.
The other thing is, like you were saying it, after we played it, you were a captain, and that meant that you could do certain things that maybe, obviously as a captain of the guard, you can go into guard rooms.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. If you steal the identity of somebody famous or important, then you have different privileges. Like as a captain, you can get into guard posts.
And it was sad for me because we only had an hour with the game, which is just for new powers as well. I was not spectacular with the new powers. Really getting to, obviously, I've got, like, I've been explaining that it was only after we stopped playing that I really understood how Displace worked. I am the way I play Dishonored, Dave, is like one of them guys who eats biscuits in a really disgusting way. Dishonored is a biscuit, right?
What, like shoving it in?
So I'm the guy that takes apart the Oreo. And then I eat all the cream first. And
you've got like a set of tools that you bring to biscuit parties.
I'm not getting invited to any biscuit parties. Basically, I wander around, I discover everything. If there's like a black market, I have to discover how to rob it, and then I might decide not to rob it. But if there's any kind of thread, any switch, I'm like, what does that switch do? Or a doorway that I can see high up, I have to just figure it out. And I couldn't do that this time. And I realised afterwards, that so that you kind of going in, the setup is that in order to kill the outsider, you're looking for the knife that made him, that killed him in the first place, hoping that that's going to be the thing which helps you to kill him again. And it's owned by a cult, and so you're kind of investigating who are the members of this cult in Karnaca, and you discover that one of them is like this kind of beautician, tattooist lady that you mentioned, and another one is like a famous singer.
Yeah.
And you kind of look in their apartments, and I realised you go to one of them and you say like, the singer's apartment, there's a note on the door saying if you know, something about a secret knock between the two that actually gets the door open. So then I went to her apartment to try and find clues as to what this knock might be, and she was there. Like, she walked in, she like said something to me like quite cocky, like, do you always wave weapons in people's faces? And I was like, no. And then I wandered in, and I just realised if I had used Semblance on her and then got over to meet this singer that she's having a relationship with, I might have had like a love that Dishonored wouldn't signal this up, that I might have had an interaction with that other character that I would not otherwise be able to have.
Definitely.
And it's just hidden in there, you know?
I'm sure there's going to be loads of that. You know, they're smart developers. There's going to be loads of combinations of people's identities you can steal for all kinds of little unknown things, you know, even just finding out a little bit of extra information from somebody.
At the beginning you're like, oh, I can be not seen on the street, and then you're like, oh, I can go through this checkpoint, and then you're like, maybe I'll be able to like discover a way to complete this level that you can only do if you're this person in this room at this time.
And I guess that's sort of what we're getting at in this video, is that is the brilliance in a nutshell of all of the powers. Like, all the powers, on the face of it, it's like, oh, I can move, or oh, I can see around corners without being there. And then it, like, as you realise that they're so layered, they gel together so well, and it's just
when
incredible.
You put that into this world, which I think is one of the kind of most sophisticated and the best made worlds on PlayStation, I think it's really smart, and all the performances are like understatedly excellent as well. Man, I think Dishonored is one of the best things that's happened on PlayStation. I'm really glad that we get to play more of it. That's a little look. I'm just checking my notes. Back in Karnaca, her arm is brilliant. I love the story. Dishonored is one of the best things on PS4. It's literally what I've written down. We've covered off all of that now.
Nathan is a professional, so actually it's very hard to do this job.
So thank you guys for watching. Let us know what you think about Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, what you've seen so far, if you're excited about it, in the comments below. And do subscribe to PlayStation Access. We've got loads more coming up.